Wait a second. This isn't your grandma's cancer show.
Not your grandma's cancer show.
Hi, I'm Tatum, and I have with me today the lovely Emma Willis, who had breast cancer at the age of 29, and that inspired her to co-found Shine Cancer Support and now put on one of the largest conferences for young adults in the UK with cancer. So what happens at a cancer conference, let alone the largest one in the UK? We're going to find that out from Emma. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Hi, Tatum. Thanks so much for having me.
You're at the office, the Shine office in Poole?
I am, yes, on my own, so that I'm having really dodgy Wi-Fi issues at home, so the office was the best option.
Tell me about what was going on in your life when you were diagnosed.
I just turned 29 when I was diagnosed, and I was working at the time, I was a risk and compliance manager for a high street bank. And that was probably the main thing going on in my life. I was really career focused. I was always after the next promotion and, thought that was the most important thing in the world, to kind of have a good job and a good career. And then I had a car accident that resulted in some sprained ribs and found a lump in my breast. I didn't worry about it at all. I was convinced it was to do with the car accident. And so were all of the doctors that I saw, initially. So I'd even gone to get the results from my ultrasound and tests on my own. And I was really surprised when they said, actually, you have got cancer. Obviously, then I was sat on my own. And I think, as a lot of people say, mine just goes really fuzzy. And I don't really remember the rest of what she said, to be honest, for that appointment. But yeah, a bit of a shock.
Yeah. And when you left, who was the first person that you told?
Because I hadn't been worried about it, I hadn't really told anyone I was going, because it didn't seem like important information. It was just I'm going to the hospital for this because there's a lump, but it's not going to be anything to worry about. I think my partner at the time, he knew what was going on and that I'd been for tests and everything. And he was at home, which was only about 2 minutes drive away. So my consultant was brilliant, actually, because she said, I'm telling you this now, but have you got anyone with you? And when I said no, she said, well, how quickly can you get someone here?
Wow.
And I said, my other half's at home. It's only around the corner. And so she said, well, go out to the car park, give him a ring, get him to come here, and then you can come back in again and I'll talk to both of you. And you've got as long as you like. I've got no more patients after you. And I mean, even though we had an unlimited amount of time, I still don't really remember the rest of the conversation. But, at least I had someone with me then that could, maybe try and remember a bit of what was said.
Yeah. And so what kind of treatment did you go through?
They thought that I had one quite small tumour. And so they planned to do a lumpectomy as surgery. So just remove the tumour, not the whole breast. And that's what I went into hospital for. And they told me that because I was younger, should expect to have kind of as much treatment as possible, because they were, I remember at the time they said, normally we're trying to keep women alive for 5 years, but because you're so young, we're trying to keep you alive for 20. And I was thinking, I won't even be 50 in 20 years time. Just that was what stuck in my head, I guess. But so I had the lumpectomy, and then they found out when they were doing the surgery that I actually had 2 separate tumours that were both a bit bigger than they thought. And it had spread into my lymph nodes in my armpit as well. So I'd had a full clearance there. So then I went on to have some more scans, and I had some unconfirmed spread in other parts of my body as well. But the consultant that I then spoke to, the oncology consultant, basically said that the treatment would be the same, whether it was metastases of the cancer or not. So I then went ahead and had 8 rounds of chemo, and I also had Herceptin alongside that. And then I had 6.5 weeks of radiotherapy as well. So all of that took about a year. I think it was 11 months before I'd finished treatment. And there was lots of different drugs. I was on hormone therapy then for about another 8 years. And I stopped that about 6 years ago now. So I'm currently on no treatment at all, which is nice, but a little bit scary still sometimes.
Yeah, that scary feeling, it doesn't go, does it? So one of the things that you raised in there was the doctors, even how they talk to you is different when you're younger, right? And you tend to fall outside of the boundaries of the research. You tend to fall into like, we think with your age, but you're not what they normally see. Was that your experience looking around? Did you meet other people your own age?
That was absolutely my experience. I think there were occasions when people would actually, like the nurses or the doctors would directly say, "Oh my goodness, you're so young. Like, what are you doing here?" And you're like, "Well, okay, obviously I'm here because I have a diagnosis." Like they weren't used to dealing with people my age, I don't think.
Yeah, when you're sitting in the waiting room, sometimes people think that you're waiting for your mum to come out. Did you have that? Yeah.
Well, I even had people say, because I actually went to quite a few appointments with my mum. And, my mum was in her early 50s at that point, and people would say to my mum, "Oh my goodness, you're so young to be here." And then she had to say to them, "Actually, it's not even me, it's my daughter."
Wow.
This it's not, and I guess those, you get used to, I suppose, surprising people with that information. But, you'd look around the waiting room, and a lot of people have told me they share this experience. You often are the only person sat in a waiting room that's in their kind of 20s, 30s or 40s. It is still quite unusual, and that's quite isolating, isn't it?
Yeah. And when you went to a support group, what was that like?
Luckily, I guess, as with breast cancer, there are often, because of the amount of people that get breast cancer, there are quite a few breast cancer support groups around. So I went to a few different ones near where I live, and they were lovely. The people that I met there were really nice, really friendly. Again, quite a lot of that kind of shocked reaction of like, "What are you doing here? Are you sure you've got cancer? Are you in the right room?" And I think, while they were lovely and it was great to be able to talk to people about, specific things to do with treatment or the surgery, for example, I did really feel like I couldn't relate fully to them. People were showing me pictures of their grandchildren while I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm fertile anymore, and I didn't have children. So those kind of things I couldn't really relate to. They were older than my parents, everyone in the room, really. So it was difficult. Not that they weren't lovely people, of course.
Yeah, I remember sitting in some support groups, and they were lovely. But, I was really upset about not being able to go hiking by myself anymore.
Yeah.
And because chemo upset my equilibrium, I fell over, I sprained my ankle, not even on a hill, just walking down the street. I was very wobbly. And they were sort of all looking at me like, well, we carry our life alerts, it was just, they were sort of bemused by this person that wants to go hiking by themselves. And you sometimes can just feel quite alien. That thing of like, am I going to be able to have children? And the person beside you is like, here's my grandchild. And you're like, not only am I not going to be able to have kids, or maybe not, but I'm never going to be a grandparent.
Yeah.
Which is
it's all of those things, isn't it? It's just, and I don't think anybody was, doing that out of meanness, or I just think it doesn't cross people's minds. And like you said, talking about hiking, I was talking about going back to work, and, how long were people off before they went back to work? And, most people were retired. And if they weren't retired, they were at a kind of a point in their lives where they were financially stable enough to say, "Oh, well, my mortgage is paid off. Maybe I could go back to work part-time." And, my mortgage was 3 or 4 years in, that I had to think about what I wanted to do. And my career at the time, like I said earlier, was like really important to me. And I was really keen to get back to my job and to get back to my work. And, I'm doing air quotes, but back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
and I think nobody there could really kind of give me any advice or help about how they'd gone back to work because most of them hadn't
Yeah.
tried.
So when did you have your first conversation with someone near your own age?
Oh gosh, it was 2 years after I was diagnosed. So I'd spent kind of the first year really out of things in treatment. I had quite a tough time with chemo, spent quite a lot of time at home, not really interacting with anyone else. Then I tried a few breast cancer support groups. I'd spoken to support nurses and things, and I just never found anyone my own age. And being that it was a little while ago, Facebook wasn't a thing, Insta wasn't a thing, Snapchat definitely wasn't a thing. And so I actually joined a really random, dodgy internet forum that if you could see a picture of it, a screenshot of it, it would look like something from the 80s. But I met somebody on there who lived in Dorset, where I live, who was 35, who had just been diagnosed with breast cancer. And so we exchanged a few messages and then we arranged to meet for a coffee. And her name's Justine, Just. And so we went for a coffee. We did the whole, have a newspaper under your arm and we'll meet at this place. And we were there for like 4 hours. It was amazing. And just that feeling of having someone that really understands where you're coming from, that could relate to, things going on in your life was the thing that I didn't realize I was missing.
2 years is a long time to wait for that.
Yeah.
And how incredible that you had to wait that long and now you're creating spaces for people to come together and get that feeling that you had with Justine that day.
Yeah.
Online from wherever they are. It's absolutely incredible. Let's hear from John.
So what helped me most was the chance to connect with other young adults who've been affected by cancer, with so many people who just understand what it's like and what you go through, even after treatment and diagnosis. And also to get so much helpful support from experts with the different issues that I'm living with after it. And all the fun and creative sessions too that you can attend.
So John there is talking about some of the best things about Shine Connect. So tell me, how long has this conference been going on for?
So we first did this conference in person back in 2016. And at the time it was, Shine had been growing. So Carmen and I had been working together to make sure that we had peer support networks across the country. So we'd met people in real life at kind of, social meetups and things. And we wanted a way to bring people together for one day where they could meet each other, learn some kind of support, get some support from each other, but also have some experts available that would be able to talk about topics that are of concern, so younger adults with cancer. And so we ran the first conference in 2016 at the Mondrian in London, and we had, I think, if memory serves me correct, about 70 or 80 people came, and we had some brilliant speakers. We had some great chats and some great breakout sessions. And so, we decided at that point to do it every year, but then obviously 2020 happened. So we'd planned to have our conference at the King's Fund in London in April 2020. And, kind of by the middle of March, we knew that was really unlikely to happen. So bringing it online is something it took us a little while to work out. So we had it in November of 2020. And that was the first time we'd brought the conference fully online. But actually what it's meant, although it's lovely to get together physically in a space for a day, it's also really difficult for people to get to London, to have a whole day out of their lives, to travel from wherever they are in the country, and it's really tiring as well to attend a full day conference, depending where you are in treatment or after treatment, how you're feeling. And so we learned quite a lot that first year that actually, even if we can go back to being in person, there will still be an element of online. And for this year, we're fully online again. And that means that we've, rather than trying to pack 8 hours of Zooms into a Saturday, which I don't think anybody would want
yeah,
to.
Talk about Zoom eyes.
Because it's online, we can spread it out across the week. So the majority of sessions are on the Saturday and Sunday, but then all the way from Monday through to Thursday, there are daytime and evening sessions as well. And it's a bit more pick and mix. So if you're in London for a day in person, you're kind of there for the whole 7-8 hours. Whereas, with the conference online, you can choose, oh, okay, I'm really interested in that session. And it might just be an hour long. So you can just log in, you're in your own house, you don't have to travel anywhere. But you're still getting, the great kind of expert information and meeting other people that are in similar situations. So yeah, we're really excited to do it again this year.
And that's, something that you said about, I'm still thinking about the 2 years that you waited to have that moment of relief. I'm so lucky that I didn't have to wait so long after my first, forays into support groups. I ended up finding a younger group. But I actually thought I was at 35. I actually thought that maybe I was too old. I remember putting on my coolest clothes, thinking oh, am I going to walk in? There's going to be a bunch of 22-year-olds and they're going to be what are you doing here? And it was so nice to be back and oh no, I'm young, in that space. If you have any kind of cancer, you can come to Shine Connect. Tell me a little bit about how that works, because I think there is, this thing of if you have breast cancer, maybe go to a breast cancer group. What are the benefits of meeting other people that have different kinds of cancer?
From the beginning, it was the reasoning behind it when we started Shine was that, as breast cancer is one of the most prevalent cancers in our age group, but if it took us 2 years to meet somebody else in our age group, imagine if you're dealing with a rare cancer or any other kind of cancer really that doesn't have as much kind of infrastructure behind it as breast cancer does. And so that was our initial thinking, just that we didn't want people to miss out. But actually what we found is that, aside from when you're right at the beginning of kind of diagnosis or a treatment journey, it is really useful to talk to people that have had the same type of surgery or have had the same type of chemotherapy or, anything else. But as you go further into your experience, actually, it's not as important what the type of cancer is. It's more about the impact cancer has on your life. And, you might relate better to someone who's got a completely different type of cancer than you, but has got a very similar family life or background or, career. And it just gives you that chance. You're not necessarily trading medical information. You're kind of trading the impact that cancer has on your life. And that's the biggest benefit, I think.
So one of the sessions at Shine Connect is about sex. So this is something that affects nearly everyone going through cancer in some way, shape or form. So speaking to that kind of the impact that it's having, what is going to happen in the sex session?
Well, we talk about sex quite a lot at Shine. I think it's one of our most hit website pages as well. But it's a big topic. This year, we're really excited because we've got Cheryl and Sarah coming, who founded the Cancer, Sex and Intimacy Project. And they've done some really interesting work on, researching what happens to intimacy throughout the cancer journey. And they've produced some brilliant resources that are available as well. So they're coming along to talk a little bit about that. But there's also obviously a chance for kind of questions and answers. And we've got ways that people can do that anonymously as well. Because, although it's something we like to talk about, we don't necessarily like to talk about it publicly, do we? So, there's an option if you're not comfortable.
I love that. Yeah. Because that's the thing. If you have a burning question and you're online and you're oh no, is everyone going to think that, it's lovely to have that as a way. And probably most other people want the answer to that question as well.
Exactly.
Those are the good questions.
The anonymous questions that come through, there are always duplicates. There's always like more than one person asking the same question. So, it's a really good chance to kind of talk about it. But I think it's going to be a really fun session as well. So Cheryl and Sarah have got some games, got some kind of fun fact quizzes and things for us to do. So, I'm really looking forward to that session. I think it'll be great.
And is there some kind of giveaway happening?
I think so. I think there might be something that vibrates. Who knows?
Excellent. Okay. I'm there.
Giving away secrets before the event.
Let's hear from Abby.
What I like most about Connect is the ability to drop in and out of sessions. Also, I know if I'm having a bad day, I can enjoy the session from the comfort of my own home. This year, I'm particularly looking forward to the emotional freedom technique, or tapping. It looks really interesting, and I can't wait to learn about it.
Yeah, so if after that sex session, you're like, I need a big cup of tea now, I need to sit down for the rest of the day, you're at home and, you can take the time and then, dip in for the next session. The emotional freedom thing I always find quite fascinating. Have you done it?
I haven't actually. I missed. We have had a similar session at a previous. I think it was 2 years ago at Connect, and I missed that one because I was running one of the other sessions that was at the same time. But I have seen tapping done at some of our in-person events, and it is really interesting. I think it's these things. Sometimes you read about things, or you might hear about a technique or something, and you don't. Maybe you're not interested enough to actually go and try and book yourself a session.
Right.
But that's why these things are, they can be like little tasters. You come to the session at Connect, learn a bit more about tapping. And then if you like it, you can maybe find something local to you that means you can carry on doing it. So, to me, it's like it's kind of an easy way to learn a bit more about something that maybe you've been meaning to find out about.
Yeah. I mean, that's lovely, right? Because if it is something that's intrigued you, sometimes it can take, especially when you're tired, it can take a lot, find out where it is and, is that place good? And, what are the other people going to be like? But to know that you're doing it with a bunch of other people that are also trying it out and asking questions and it's perfect. And let's hear from Claire.
So I'm really looking forward to Shine Connect this year. The sessions I'm particularly excited about are the session on trauma that we've got in the week, which will be all about the impact cancer can have on your mental health, going through traumatic experiences. It just sounds really interesting, and I think it will be really relevant for lots of people. And also the spotlight sessions where we get to hear Shine members' stories in a more in-depth way. So they sound really cool. Last year, I loved the fact that it was just a community getting together, lots of chat in between sessions. The social bits were great, and just a really nice way to meet more people.
Oh, I love that. And this is the thing, when it comes to mental health and, we hear words like trauma, and it can be traumatic even to try and figure out our own trauma and what to do with it. Once we, are maybe experiencing a PTSD, what do we do with that? And what does it mean? And will it go away? And is it always there? And it can be so overwhelming. So, to have a place to actually learn more about it. Can you tell me a little bit about the trauma session?
Absolutely. I think, the purpose of it really is just, like you said, sometimes we're not sure it is what we're experiencing trauma. Do I have symptoms of PTSD? Is there something I can do about what I'm feeling? And I think these sessions are, as a kind of taster, it's only 1 hour, and it's on an evening, that one. So you can come along and, Christina's going to talk a bit about, understanding what trauma is and, maybe identifying it, and then, what you might be able to do with that. So it should be really interesting and a really good way to kind of think about your experiences and, just get a kind of taster, really, I guess, in an hour and learn something.
Yeah. And trauma and feeling PTSD is by its very nature so lonely. right?
Yeah,
Like being
absolutely.
up in the middle of the night with that fear, or having a panic attack in the middle of the street, or, outside of a doctor's office. Those moments that, you feel everything kind of coming down and you're like, I don't know how to pick things back up, are so powerful and so lonely, that to be around other people and know that you can kind of decompress afterwards as well with them, and and that there can be some fun sessions too. Do you also have like a shine, like get a drink and chat session at the end of the day?
Yeah, there's a few kind of fun, like just social sessions. So there's one on the first day, on the Saturday, which is just like drinks and a chat with the Shine team. So we'll be there. It's just a casual kind of conversation. Unfortunately, we're not posting drinks out to everyone, so you do need to bring your own. But it's just a chance to kind of have a social natter. On the Sunday night, we've got a live kind of gaming session. So that's more of a kind of a chat and like, play a couple of games and just, you can bring a drink to that one too if you want.
I mean, technically you could bring a drink to all of them.
You could do, yeah. It's even the 10 a.m. ones. It's fine with us.
I'm going to be doing one about self-massage. So
I've seen that. Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to delivering that. This is like where I get my self-massage geek on. So it's going to be a bit about how to send messages to your body that right now in this moment you're okay. Because so much of our, when we've been through traumatic situations, when we've been in pain, perhaps we've been in chronic pain, our body is trying its best to protect us, to give us as much adrenaline as possible, but actually that can lead to more sleeplessness, more panic, more reactivity. So having a place and having ways to calm the body and also feel really good is so important, and can be like just a lovely thing for the toolkit. So I'm really excited about doing that session. And feeling nice and chilled out and, massaged at the end of it, which is good because not all of us like necessarily want to go to a massage therapist. Like if we're feeling a bit sensitive, we're like, how much pressure? When we're doing it ourselves, we can do it perfectly.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, it just sounds amazing. And we always get amazing feedback from your sessions, Tatum. Everyone loves them. So yeah, I think it would be a really good one. I'm running a different session at the same time, so I won't be there.
What are you running?
So I'm running the Shine Connected meetup, it's something we do quite regularly outside of Shine Connect. And it's a social meetup really for people from Black, Asian and minoritized ethnic groups. And it's kind of a safe space really to get together. If you're from one of those backgrounds, you can kind of come along and chat to other people. Often we're talking about completely different things to issues caused by our backgrounds, but if that's something that's helped, it's just a nice space, safe space to kind of come and meet others really and have a chat. So I'll be doing that at the same time as a self-massage, but I will access the recording afterwards.
Okay, cool. Yes, so recordings are available if more sessions are going on and you can't attend all of them. How many sessions are running this year?
Oh God, I think it's 32 at the latest count. But we often have like the odd one slip in a bit late. So, it might even go up from that. But 32 is quite a lot of sessions. If we were doing that in person, that would probably be, 3 full-on days in a conference centre, wouldn't it? So
just remember, it is a buffet. It is a smorgasbord for you to dip in. You don't need to go to all 32. And is it free?
It is absolutely free. Yes, it is. And I think, when we do things in person, we try to make sure that there's free and low cost options to everything. But, we've been lucky with the support we've had from people this year. So we're able to provide it for free for all attendees. So there's no costs at all.
Amazing. And we've got a fabulous keynote speaker this year talking about the gut microbiome, which is like, everyone's talking about at the moment. So you'll be able to get questions answered there. There's so many different things. So check out Shine's webpage, which is shinecancersupport.org, and have a look. It's all under Shine Connect. It's free to come along. So join us. We would absolutely love to see you there. Is there anything else that you would like to add, Emma?
Oh, just that I think one of the best things about Connect is being able to, apart from having access to brilliant information, is the chance to meet other people and to really understand that you're not the only one experiencing the things you're experiencing, and you're not alone, and everything you're feeling is okay. And I think even if you just come to one session and get that feeling, then that's worth it for us, creating it and putting it on. So we'd love to meet you there. So please, give us a try. You can leave your camera off if you're shy and you don't want to see anyone. You can just have a listen, and hopefully that helps too. So yeah.
So once again, that is shinecancersupport.org, where you can get registered for Shine Connect and you can come and meet everyone. And we want to say thank you to the lovely radio facilities. Thank you to Emma for being here today. It was so lovely to interview. Hopefully you'll come back.
Thanks, Tatum. It's been lovely to be here.
Till next time. Bye.